Hello guys, I am back from another video and today we're talking about Deku took Bakugou's advice. So in the last video Deku, instead of Deku, we took a different, perspective. Perspective was in the perspective of Melissa's shield. So, after going to UA and her first day of UA, basically, it was pretty normal. It's basically just like in canon, but except, replacing Izuku with like Melissa. And Melissa had an artificial quirk this time. This, or artificial quirk if you want to say it like that, well, it's basically a nanotech quirk which allows you to control little robots. Just imagine those as like the little robots from like Big Hero 6, the ones that are being used by the kabuki mask wearing villain. I can't remember his name because it's been a long time since I've seen the movie. So, yeah. So, after that day, their first day at UA, it was the second day which they saw All Might and he was teaching the heroics class. So it's basically just like in canon, the whole heroes versus villain battle. It was pretty much basically the same just like in canon, but except replacing Izuku with Melissa. So after that day, she started going home, and apparently both well both David and Inko decided to remarry. So Inko is now basically the stepmother of Melissa because she gets constant well constant reminders of Izuku because of Inko, because after all, Inko is Izuku's mother. So after getting home, she started crying because she remembers an old photo right next to her desk. That photo was a picture of both Izuku and her back when they were kids, maybe like 7 or 8. She was pretty sad and started crying. So we go back to Izuku and he's getting ready for his war, his campaign to basically destroy all quirk users. No matter if they're good or bad, they're still the same. Greedy, money hungry fools. That is why Izuku wants to kill them, because, Izuku was after all bullied for being quirkless, so yeah, that's justified. So, yeah, after a bit of talking with, Loki, he starts getting ready. As in getting ready, he means, getting some rest. So, yeah. So, after that long, explanation about last episode, let's talk about what happens next. So, we start off the video, or part, or episode, where Izuku's basically outside of, Valhalla with the rest of his army. Like, several soldiers, most of them in these gigantic battleships slash tanks. Just these tanks are basically the mix of like a dreadnought class warship mixed with like a amphibious tank. That's what they basically are. Like they basically look like that. Several of these soldiers looking outside, seeing Izuku give his speech. His speech about war, specifically on defeating the quirk users and making them pay for all of their greed and misdeeds. Even though some are actually good, Izuku wants to kill them all, except for a specific few, which Izuku will call them, they're pure breeds. Izuku will call them pure breeds because, there will be, maybe about 100 of them, specifically 100 quirk users that are going to be in the, well, in Valhalla, which, these pure breeds are just going to be, filling up all of the numbers. They're just going to be used as population, basically as slaves specifically. But if Izuku finds, well, his mother, he will definitely bring him in as a, well, as an exception. Because, well, Inko still has a quirk in this. Specifically a telekinesis quirk, so yeah. So, after giving his speech, they started, well, screaming, more like yelling than anything else. They started cheering towards Izuku, cheering for war, cheering that they will defeat the quirk users. Loki and the three, well, disasters, specifically Hela, Jormungandr, and Fenrir, are basically standing right beside Izuku, as Loki says this. Good. Now, we shall start our battle. Now, open the gates. The gates are being opened as it leads to the world of, well, Midgard, aka Earth. So, they started going inside of like the portal or gate as they land in the Pacific Ocean. Izuku's, well, riding on one of these, well, dreadnought class like tank slash like what do you even, I don't know what to call them. Let's just call them dreadnoughts. So, when they go into the ocean, most of the soldiers are basically seasick, or some of them would, well, sometimes they would sometimes fall off of the ship. But thankfully, they go back into the ship thanks to, well, some of the, most of them, actually, seriously, most of them are either, well, Dragars or elvish type creatures or Fae. So they started going back into the boat pretty much easily. So they started going off and they started going off to Japan, specifically to a certain, well, beach, specifically Bodega Beach. Wait for a second. So, when they started going into Bodega Beach, or at least seeing there, one of them is basically like wielding a like magnifying glass. Not a magnifying glass. What do you call them? I kind of forgotten the name. I meant spyglass. I actually meant spyglass. As one of the, well, Draugr said this, we see land. As Izuku says this, good. Now, let's go. They started moving towards Bodega Beach, as some of the people that are walking beside the beach, which is pretty much, well, pretty much filled with trash, scraps, and, um, well, metal. I meant metal shrapnel. Shrapnel's a metal. Wait for a second again. Well, some of the people see the dreadnought slash, well, tank like warships or war tanks or whatever you call them. No, let's just call them dreadnoughts. These dreadnoughts, they started taking pictures, some even taking videos, even some screaming, calling the, well, heroes. When the heroes arrived, well, they were never expecting this. They were attacked. Several of these Draugr started tearing into their flesh as Izuku sees one of the heroes, which Izuku stabs him and turns them into a Draugr, which he starts using, well, a undead version of his quirk. This, well, hero or quirk user that Izuku prefers to call them, because, well, Izuku considers them as like a disgusting, well, race. Well, this quirk user is now able to create black lightning. He originally had like a normal lightning quirk, which shoots out like yellow lightning. Well, this time he's using black lightning, which can turn into basically any weapon that he desires. So this Draugr starts turning into, well, turning the lightning into a whip, basically. Wait for a second. Several news stations, specifically some, well, some notable ones in Japan's like vicinity, started recording all of this as one of the soldiers grabs one of the cameramen and pulls them over as he tells one of them to basically record him. Like the cameraman starts recording him as he says this: "We're here to kill like the quirk users." Sorry about that. It was just I didn't know what to. Let's just continue. Um, the Dragar slash creature or whatever. He says this: "We're here to kill all of you quirk users and your so-called heroes. Pathetic. You call yourselves heroes? You're nothing more than former glories of yourselves. Our heroes are considered as gods, even half gods. Even though they are half gods, they're much more powerful than you, using this quirk. Now, you quirk users are ready to die because one of our generals, specifically a kid by the name of Izuku, is here to bring justice to this world. Here to kill all of the quirk users, but select a few 100 as pure breeds, specifically as slaves. Now, if you want to join these 100, well, people, I think it's better for all of you to just start going into our, well, service. We just need 50 girls and 50 boys. Any more than that, we slaughter them." The cameraman was terrified as he gets his he gets his neck slitted open by a goblin. As the goblin goes towards the girl, which was the reporter. I meant the reporter. I meant the reporter starts getting stabbed repeatedly by this goblin. As the goblin starts maniacally laughing, as he starts covering himself in his blood. I meant her blood. As several Fays started shooting out blasts of magic, they started killing the rest of the quirk users. Izuku just reveled in his destruction. The destruction of an old city. The city that he grew up in. A city that should fear him. That should fear the quirk users. Not quirk users, I meant the quirkless. And the strength of their numbers are equal to well, let's just say World War II. Like the World War II soldiers, basically. So, after the news or the live broadcast was brought to, the news, they were terrified, including the rest of the, citizens. Some even submitting, and some workless started joining. Some of them even escaping some, dangerous parts of, Japan. When they brought themselves towards Izuku and his brand new capital, well, they submitted it. They submitted, their request of becoming, soldiers. Izuku accepted it and decided to turn them into his elite guard, training them to become powerful. And this is just a few weeks after, they set sailed and captured that part of, the city. So, after the live broadcast, they were notified by UA about this. UA was unsure about this, thinking that this was some sort of weird anomaly. Some even believing that it was judgment towards the quirk users for being oppressed somewhat, I guess. Some of the villains even capitalized on it. They decided to become, one of the, 100 slash 50 pure breeds, I guess. So, after they joined Izuku, put them up to work. Specifically on mining and, serving as, maids slash, butlers. So, some of them even having, pretty good salaries, actually. Better than, the modern era, which, let's just say, is pretty trash. Especially in this economy. Oh, God. Anyway, so, wait for a second. So, Izuku decides to try and find more allies. So, after Izuku finds, well, the location of Island, Izuku smiles because Izuku knows where a certain girl and family lives. Specifically, the family known as the Shields, like Melissa Shield. Uh, I mean, seriously, whoever give them that name is probably either a Marvel fan or just, I mean, it's a cool name. Just saying just the name, like the surname, is just weird. So, when Izuku starts going into that place, Izuku made it there as several occupants of Island started warning, Shield. When, well, wait for a second, David, Melissa, and Inko, which she changed her name to, like, instead of Inko Midoriya, it's, Inko Shield. Actually, that sounds even weirder. Anyway, so, Inko, after seeing Izuku in the carnage, she says this. Izuku? Is that you? As one of the soldiers, specifically one of them being, the Wendigo General, says this. So, I'm guessing that you're the mother of this, of our glorious leader. As they say this, specifically Inko. What? As Izuku says this, Mother. Izuku, puts down his shield and his sword, and telling all of his soldiers to stop. Izuku runs towards Inko and hugs her. As Izuku says this, it's been a long time. Are you okay, Mother? As she says this, Izuku, I thought you were dead. What happened to you? What are these scars? And what happened to your blood? It's... Oh my god, you're really cold. What happened to you? And what is that clothing? And what is this? Izuku says this. Have you heard of the news? The news about me and my campaign. As Melissa says this. Izuku, it was you. What happened to you? As Izuku says this. You seriously didn't know about the news? Izuku shows them a tablet that Izuku stole from, Island's, vicinity. Not vicinity, like, facility, I meant. Facility. So, after they see the news slaughtering all of these, people, specifically heroes, and they were terrified. All Might arrived with, Shield, specifically David and, like, Melissa. After seeing Izuku changed, he says this. Izuku, what happened to you? You were just in this... I mean, you were bullied, but you don't really need to do this. This is just madness. Izuku says this. Madness. Really. You pathetic quirk users. You always use your powers for good. But to me, and many others, you only used it for your own gain. Only wanting fame and fortune. That's not very heroic. As All Might says this. Yes, but I'm trying to do it so I can... I'm trying to do this because I just want everybody to be happy. Izuku says this. Happy. Happy? Well then, allow me to show you how corrupt this system it really is. Izuku showed them, several things. Several, and I mean several things. Containing mostly about, quirk users and almost all heroes being, well, drug dealers, um, slave dealers, even human traffickers, and other such horrible people. Even some being, let's just say, P's. It starts with letter P and ends with edophile. You got guess in the comments. And some being, let's just say, sexual, sexual predators. Let's just say that. Because, well, I don't want to get my channel demonetized. Like, seriously. Anyway, after showing them that, well, All Might was moved and decides to stop being a hero. All Might said this, Izuku, I didn't know that this. As Izuku says this, I know. This world is corrupt, and I shall be the one that will cleanse it. I will be the medicine that will destroy this virus. This virus, which you call heroes. Actually, I don't even consider them as heroes. More like money-grubbing fools. Now, Mother, Melissa, David, and Toshinori, do you accept becoming one with my brand new empire? The Empire of Valhalla. An empire that will bring quirk users and the quirkless together, but in my own way, where, well, the quirk users become somewhat of a minority, and the quirkless shall become the most dominant species ever. I shall be the salvation for everybody. Now, do you accept it? So, this will be the end of the episode because, well, this is a lot of, like, information to, like, swallow up. So, yeah. So, I hope you liked the video, and please comment and subscribe because it will actually be helping the channel. The more you subscribe, the more I become a little bit happier. So, yeah, just comment and subscribe so you can, well, get notified of videos like these. Especially my Fate series, my FGO series, because, well, I have a lot of ideas, especially because of the next episode. So, yeah. So, I hope you liked the video, comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!